victory in the ruling party's election. Lin Lin is joining us now from Tokyo with the latest. And good morning, Lin. What do we know about Shigeru Ishiba?
Good morning, Shrey. So this is fifth time lucky for Ishiba-san. So he has wanted this position for a very long time. He's known as somewhat of a maverick, a contrarian, walks his own path. So in many ways, many people didn't predict that he would be the winner because whilst he is popular with the public, he remains pretty unpopular within his parliamentary colleagues. He's also, of course, as you said, a former defence chief about a decade ago, a defence policy wonk who has these model planes and aircraft in his office, and he's said and written a lot about defence and foreign policy. For example, whilst he does emphasise that policy continuity in terms of upping defence spending from 1 to 2% by 2027, he's also spoken about rebalancing Tokyo's relationship with Washington. That breaks away from what we've heard from Kishida and Abe in the past. He's also been quite big in terms of emphasising collective deterrence. He said, for example, that Ukraine would not be in the position that it is in now if Kyiv was a part of that NATO alliance. Shri and Mandy.
Yeah, Lynn, it's really interesting also his supportive stance of the BOJ's rate hiking cycle, which, as you deftly pointed out last week, was in sharp contrast to his main political rival, who had indeed called it stupid to keep on hiking at the BOJ. What kind of action are we seeing, therefore, in the yen and JGB yields in terms of his stance towards the BOJ?
Mandy, we saw markets very much reacting to the leadership contest on Friday. And really, it was because in the first round, Takeichi-san came in first. So many thought that perhaps she had it in the bag because Ishiba-san is not popular within LDP lawmakers. So we saw, for example, that the yen weakened. We saw that the stock market was rallying and that reaction from JGBs. But once, of course, it was declared that he was the winner and it was a very tight finish to the end, we saw that reversal playing through. And of course, futures are also pointing to a pretty significant drop for both the Nikkei and the topics today as well, because, as you said, in terms of his policies, it does deviate quite a lot from Takeichi-san. He has spoken about the fact that he supports the normalisation of monetary policy by the BOJ. He's also known as being quite fiscally restrained and conservative as well. But I think it is really important to note that we are in that election cycle here, that really with the expectation is that we will get that snap election. You've got local media reporting as early as late October or early November is where we could go to a general election, so he can ride off this sort of honeymoon period, try and build that mandate for himself, for the public, but also try to reunite a very fractured LDP. We saw that in the contest with 9 candidates. That was a record and a very close finish at the end as well. So already, for example, this weekend, we heard him speaking in an interview on NHK, talking about putting together a fiscal stimulus package to help with lower income households. The other question is, will he be extending the energy subsidies that is due to expire in a couple of months' time as well? And might I add, on BOJ policy, he did say that he thinks that conditions should remain loose because the economy is still fragile. And he is, as I said, in the past known to flip-flop depending on public sentiment and mood as well.
Very, very interesting setup then, Lynn, and clearly pluses and minuses on the foreign policy and the economics front. And we'll continue that conversation with Lynn, with Yasuhide Nakayama, actually, and we'll stress test this idea of whether he's going to be a China hawk. And we will speak to Nakayama-san. He's another former Japanese Minister of Defence and former Minister of Foreign Affairs, so we'll keep that conversation going. Lynn, thank you very much indeed for